Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Chris Gennaro. My co-host is Eric Rizk. And today we have Unearthly Trance. How are you doing, guys?
Doing good, man.
So I guess just for the benefit of everybody, just say your names and what you do in the band.
I'm Ryan Lipynsky. I sing and play guitar.
Jay Newman, and I play bass.
Cool. We're just going to hop right into it. I figure we'll just start out with the latest stuff. You guys did a split on Feast of Tentacle Records with a band in Intensive Care in the UK. It took me a little while to find that because I don't think it's on your Bandcamp page particularly.
Well, funny you say that. We're actually putting it up on Friday. So
okay. So there you go.
Yeah.
I guess let's just start with that release and talk about how that came about. Because I know you do most of your stuff on Relapse.
Yeah.
So I assume this was just a special occasion.
I don't know. We've always had a history of doing splits with like friends of ours. Like our whole career, we've always done split 7 inches or split, releases. And our friend Andrew asked us to do it, and we wanted to record something, so we kind of did a self-recording and did 2 songs, but one of them was on the 7-inch. And then those 2 songs we're going to put on our Bandcamp this Friday, and one's unreleased. But it was really just Andrew asked, "You guys want to do a 7-inch?" And we were like, "Sure," because we did a split with his old band, Endless Blockade, which is a split 12-inch we did with them. So it's just kind of continuing the tradition, really.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys have more splits than I think I've seen any band ever do, and I think it's really cool and good for the scene because I think it's just like a cross promotion stuff, and I just think that really makes for a healthy scene essentially. But yeah, I guess I was gonna ask how is it that you guys have like at least 7 or so? I mean, is it you guys reaching out to the band? It sounds like that last one, they reached out to you.
I would say all of them came from people. It's almost like we got a reputation for doing it, or we'd be into it. And so people would ask us, "Do you want to do it? This label will probably put it out." I'm like, "Sure," because we've always been able to record ourselves. Like Jay's recorded a lot of our stuff that's not, the main Relapse stuff. Mainly it's stuff that Jay has recorded over the years. So we've always had the ability to kind of just, all right, let's bang it out. It's like we've always had material to work with, ready to go. So if someone asked us, we just take it as something fun, like a new project to take on. And Relapse was always cool with us doing it because we kind of always done it. So they've said, as long as it doesn't interfere with like our releases, it's always never been a problem. So they've been cool with us.
Yeah, some of the splits we were approached, and some labels approached us about it. So they were all kind of came about a little bit differently, So
I think maybe a few years ago it was more common to do splits. Maybe it's not as much these days.
Yeah. Like we did one with Primitive Man, which was a recent split we did too. And
sure, yeah.
that one came. That was through Relapse, and that came about through that was Ethan. From Primitive Man suggested it, and we were definitely into that. And we like those guys, and it was on Relapse, so
that was a really good release. Like one of my favorite things we've done.
Yeah.
Because I think that's on vinyl and CD now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
and they're pretty popular band these days. So in a weird way, it helped us out to do a split with them.
Oh,
and they thought of us as a band that influenced them, or like they got in touch with us just to say that they liked us at one point, and we made friends with those guys and played a show with them, and they're really cool guys, and it was like once again just doing split with friends, bands that we respected.
And they're on Relapse too, so
yeah, the Relapse combo
it was very organic. It came together.
Yeah, they got to be the record label's got to be super psyched that you're cross-pollinating those fan bases.
Yeah, it was really easy to put together, and they let Ethan from Primitive Man do the artwork, so it kind of felt like a more personal release, but on a big, good label that has such a huge reach. And we collaborated on a noise track together as well. Like the two bands did the intro track together. So that was cool too.
Where was that show you mentioned you played with them?
Where was it, Jay?
Well, we played one on Long Island originally. I couldn't remember the venue, but it was on Long Island, and then we played with them perhaps in
St. Vitus.
Yeah, at St. Vitus with Spectral Voice. That was a really cool show.
Yeah, that was
that was a good one.
Okay, I'm just going back. Stalking the Ghost. It's funny. I was listening to that recently. The color scheme to that album cover, I noticed, seems to be very similar to the Black Sabbath album. And I was wondering if that was a coincidence.
Well, it was on purpose at first to kind of get the purple from, I think, Master of Reality. I was thinking gray and purple, but then the Relapse Archive came back with that color scheme, and obviously it was another Sabbath nod, but we really just kind of tried to do a different color scheme each album. So it kind of fit to do something. The purple was really the original focus, and then the red together was clearly, it wasn't influenced by the album really. Just kind of like a nod, but everyone picked up on it, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's like an afterthought that people were like, hey, and we're like, oh yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, we like Sabbath, so it's not too much of a reach.
But if that album in particular is not exactly like influential on us, but I like that album.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the self-recording, but I think you mentioned maybe the Relapse records are not the same business. So I was just curious what the breakdown is there.
Jay recorded our album V. That was all self-recorded album. And Jay also recorded both Serpentine Path albums. So that's why sometimes I think of it all as the same thing, but he's done those 3 albums that Relapse put out. So that was, that was a good experience for us because
Sanford Parker, who recorded a good portion of our of our LPs, he came and assisted. He came and helped record V. He came to New York and helped us track it, and we kind of had a unique recording session where he kind of got us started and did the good recording, and then I actually mixed it, and we finished it up, Ryan and I, and did some overdubs, some recording, some recording stuff after. So that was a cool album to do. That was fun. We took a lot of time with that one to get it right.
And I think doing that gave you the confidence to do the Serpentine Path albums and have it come out like, in a way we were satisfied with, like, because he only built upon that, I think, from like recording V.
Definitely, yeah. I learned a lot from V and Sanford too in general. I learned a lot from him. Just he's recorded a lot of our stuff, and I just have an interest in recording, and he's a friend. He's given me advice. We've talked, so it's just been it was an organic experience, and we got to learn. And I like recording, and I like that we can be self-sufficient. So that was kind of a thing we've always been about since the beginning of the band.
Yeah, even back in the day, we would record on our like 4-track mini disc and put demo CDRs out, and just kind of make something on our own to give out, or not give out, but sell at shows and just keep promoting like our own stuff. We always had the DIY kind of spirit.
Definitely.
That's good. And like the writing process for the music, do you write together as a band, or do members come in with like riffs or full song ideas? Or
I mean, Ryan writes most of the material. Okay. But we kind of
usually bring in like, I'll have a handful of riffs that, once we start jamming with Darren, I think our drummer Darren is a big part of the band where, he kind of takes and molds my riffs to really give the beat and groove. Kind of, he's like, he irons it out, and Jay will kind of like, help with the structure. So, I'll bring raw ideas in that I purposely don't like really refine, because once I get in the room and jam with these guys, then it would become its own thing. And over the years, like, we can put stuff together really quickly. Like, one rehearsal, I have a song like ready to go. because like we've been, you know, we formed in 2000, so we've been doing this for a long time, and just the three of us. We've never changed members or anything, so it's always, you know, we could show up to a show and be unrehearsed and play a set and kind of like pull it off. But that's the kind of band we are.
Yeah,
That's incredible. 20 years. Yeah, same members. Yeah. That's really great. Wow. Cool.
Well,
and we played
actually,
a lot of
first 2 years we had a different drummer, I should say. But that was before we put out anything official.
Okay.
And we played a lot of different styles. You know, we like all kinds of music, so we've done other projects, and you know, mainly Unearthly Trance. But we have I think we have a good chemistry. We all play together and kind of know how we play, and you know.
We've always had like Unearthly Trance is just like the main band, and then we would do side bands. Like the Serpentine Path was just another kind of side project. Really, the jam with Tim Bagshaw. He moved to Jersey and he wanted to jam, and we were like, sure, because we were old friends with him. That just kind of came out of, let's do a project. And next thing you know, we did the 7-inch, and then it turned into, you know, doing stuff for Relapse too. So it kind of just splintered off into a different direction.
And Serpentine came about pretty casually too. Like it's always been the core, you know, the three of us. And, you know, we ever imagine Tim would move to the States, you know, and he did, you know, and even when we toured with Electric Wizard, we had, you know, talked about, you know, one day jamming or just, you know, just friendly talk over a beer, and, you know, it kind of, you know, for it to come together, and, you know, it just, we, you know, getting it, you know, once we started jamming with Tim, it came together real quick. Tim writes a lot of music too. He had all these like, you know, demos that he made, and with a drum machine, and so a lot of cool ideas. And like Serpentine, we kind of just interpreted his riffs and ideas and kind of brought them in life and kind of painted them with like the unearthly brush, I guess, if you will, you know, and kind of, you know, expanded on them, you know.
He was just like easy to work with, just like a really solid guitar player, just had all his stuff ironed out, like even before he showed up. It was like,
yeah, great.
Came together naturally, but
great ideas, great.
We've always like had other things and other outlets to do. So I think that's what's always kept the band going. Like we didn't really ever stress it over the years. Like we would try different things. Like I've done black metal projects, we've done noise projects, we've done lots of different things. And now
rock bands.
Yeah. So yeah, we've always been just trying to focus on being creative rather than being successful. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, rather than one genre, kind of. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done a death metal band, straight up death metal?
I'm doing one now. It's called Reeking Aura.
Okay.
I was just gonna say we had Thaetas on pretty early on, so we were talking to Terrell about that.
Yeah, Terrell's great. He's a great guitar player. He's like one of those people that just can pick up stuff like instantly. Like, it's really talented guitar player. And so, just kind of a project with friends. When I moved to Jersey, my friend Tom lived close by, and Terrell lived in Jersey. So it was like, just thought to do some jamming, and we just had a couple of songs that we recorded and did I call it a demo, but I guess it's an EP.
So you're going to do some more Reeking Aura stuff, or you're working on some more?
Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff written. It's a matter of getting together with those guys, because Will and the drummer live on Long Island, so we haven't really rehearsed since we did one rehearsal this whole entire time since the pandemic started. And we recorded like March of last year, right before everything got shut down. So we just got it in. Like, it was basically the band just started doing stuff, and then we kind of hit a wall, obviously.
By the way, I should mention that me and Eric did go see Serpentine Path once. And it was
where at?
We saw the St. Vitus show because one of Eric's buddies was opening up when he was playing with Tombs.
Oh, cool.
I remember that. That's right.
We know Mike from Tombs.
Yeah, Mike's a nice guy. Yeah, we've only played, I think, 3 Serpentine shows. There was only 3. Yeah, we played at Maryland Death Fest. We played St. Vitus.
Acheron.
And the Acheron. That was it. That was the only shows we ever
Vitus twice, I think, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I feel very privileged then.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Was it with one guitar or 2 guitar?
I don't remember. Actually, I think it's 2. I think 2. Okay. 2. I think it was 2 guitar.
That was the first time we played it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the
Where are you guys based out of, by the way?
Oh, I'm in Jersey and Eric
Brooklyn.
in Brooklyn.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so St. Vitus.
So you know what we're referring to, obviously.
Yeah.
I've been there many times. Actually, you know what? It's funny. I think I was actually also at the Spectral Voice Primitive Man Vitus show. I think I was at that. That was like a sold out show.
Yeah, that was
and it was really good. I do remember that now. That it's coming back. It's coming back.
Awesome. Yeah, we played Unearthly Trance played St. Vitus probably more than any band ever did there. Maybe.
Okay.
We played there a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, we played there a lot. It was a cool place to play too.
Don't
But
say
of course-
well. It's not nice.
Well, is there any shows anymore?
Well, there's no
Is there any
shows
more
now,
playing?
but I mean, they're going to come back, of course. They're coming back. Yeah.
I'm talking about, they'll be back.
They'll be back. Yeah.
Well, if they're back, hopefully bands will be back too. Seems crazy to think about.
Yeah. No comment. No Corona talk for me.
Should try to ignore that, right?
Yeah, we're not. Yeah.
I mean, it is always interesting to figure out what people are doing during the pandemic, because we've noticed that like some bands, just go on a writing spree because they're not touring, and then other bands just like shut down, and don't do jack shit, So it sounds like that you guys are still writing though, and working on stuff.
Unearthly Trance has been kind of on hiatus before the pandemic. We just kind of chilled, and then we were doing different things, and now I've just done a bunch of different projects because I've had like lots of unfinished projects like on my computer that it's like one day I'm going to get to that, but now I've been just kind of doing different things with different people, collaborating over remotely, mostly different projects. Keep me
I've been
busy.
keeping pretty. I think we both have. I've been keeping pretty busy too. I had a few projects I worked on, and yeah, we're just trying to stay creative, and it's just try to make there's a lot of free time.
Yeah, I think if you know how to like record at home and be creative, like without needing to go to a studio, it changes a lot. And I think these days lots of people can do that. So although music's kind of come to a halt, like underground musicians can still kind of create and put out releases. So minus the shows, it's not that much different, No rehearsals, obviously. Like I haven't really rehearsed that much. Handful of get-togethers, but it's not like something everyone's dying to do these days.
So Jay, you mentioned obviously recording the Serpentine stuff, recording the Unearthly Trance stuff. Any other bands that you've done the recordings for? Any bands that you're not in that you did the recordings for?
Yeah, I've recorded a bunch of stuff. I did a Tombs song. I did a Tombs Sam Hain cover for Tombs. This band Forced, which is a buddy of mine, Mike Hegarty's a good friend of mine who I actually Ryan and I played in this band Humanless with.
Right.
And Mike, I'm also playing right now with Mike with this band called Janthina, and it's kind of like ambient, kind of dark, like ambient sounding instrumental music that we've been doing since the pandemic, actually. And we've been pretty creative. We made an album and we released on Bandcamp, and we actually finished another album, which we're getting mastered soon. So I don't know if we're going to put it out right away, but we knocked out quite a big bunch of music, and we put together some stuff. So I've recorded a bunch of different stuff. I'm kind of drawing a blank here.
Did you record the Piron demo, maybe?
Yeah, that band Piron. I recorded their first thing. I was a little, I don't know if I did them justice.
I remember that from years ago.
Yeah, I was a little, but they were definitely cool guys. I did this band, The Communion.
Oh yeah, I remember that band. I played with that band before.
I'm plugging these. I guess this is what you do in an interview.
This is what we do.
Joe from The Communion the drummer, he was also in All Out War. He plays with Carnivore AD and a bunch of different bands. Joe, myself, and this guy Connor, and this guy Jonathan Canaday, who did that noise project Death Pile. We just recorded a metal project called High Strange, which I'm pretty stoked on. It's not out yet. It's not on Bandcamp, but hopefully in the next couple of months we'll get that going. But that was something that we worked on that came out pretty cool. I'm psyched to get it out there. So, but Joe was in the Communion, and Ryan and I go way back with those guys. Lee from the Communion, who sadly passed away years ago. He was an old friend of ours, and Jimmy, all those guys, Nick, all those Communion guys are, we go way back with those guys from Long Island. So
Long Island, yeah. I mean, that's where we started Unearthly Trance. We were originally a Long Island band in our early days. And then me and Jay both moved to Brooklyn, and then Darren eventually moved to Queens. And we were like mostly a Brooklyn band for like, I don't know, 10 years plus, who knows. And then now we all don't live in New York City anymore, so we're not a New York City band.
Yeah.
Kind of funny when I think about it.
Yeah, and as you said, plugging stuff, I always should mention that we do put all of the URLs, all the Bandcamp links, all that shit in the description. Cool. We'll probably end up talking about 1,000 bands, so I'm sure the list will be like fucking massive. But I think it's just nice, I think, for people to discover new music and click around. So, even if the stuff is not out right now and it comes out, like, if you're watching this interview a year from now, just send me the link and I'll get that stuff in the description. Was curious about the name V. Is that you're considering that your fifth album?
Yep.
Okay, and I'm assuming then the Live in Belgium album is on that list, if I'm counting right, or
no? Live in Belgium was just something we recorded on tour and then we put out on a CDR, I think, and then it came out maybe like as a B-side to In the Red tape, maybe.
I actually forgot. I forgot about that one almost. I have to listen to that again.
That happens to me often. Someone will bring something up and I'm like, I totally forgot about that. That was just kind of like a very limited release that we put out on tour. We would make these CDRs and sell on tour to kind of get extra money. And that was a kind of a release we would self-release, and Metal Archives made it look like an official release.
I think we only made like 50 or 25 of them or something. Yeah,
Jay would dub CDRs off at his house, and we'd make the covers ourselves, kind of thing.
Spray paint the CDs with spray paint and just like pretty DIY.
Yeah, but I love that lives on in history. That could easily have been forgotten in history.
Oh, they'll never forget anybody on that site. And then not coincidentally, that's where
our second album was In the Red. That's where we it was our first record with Sanford Parker. That's where we really found our sound. And then we did 2 more records with Sanford Parker. The first one, the third record being our first on Relapse. And that's where we really started kind of, just going for it.
Yeah, In the Red, definitely. When we recorded In the Red, I think that was where we were like, I think we started really trying to nail the sound of what we wanted to sound like recorded. And, we were still kind of trying to, just get the sound like Seasons. A lot of people like Seasons, but, I don't know if that's exactly our sound. I think the songs are great.
Yeah, it wasn't an accurate representation of what we sounded like. Back the first album, like live, we were like a super loud, like chaotic kind of sound, not chaotic, but just really abrasive. And on that first record, we kind of sound a little tame, like sonically, but people love that first album.
It comes off like
hate on it.
Yeah, it comes off like really minimal and
minimal.
It's got a certain pace to it, and we recorded it at a studio with a guy that didn't really have the mind. I don't even know if he could have wrapped his head around what we were doing. And then we actually ended up having a Steve O'Malley from Sun and Burning Witch. Steve came and mixed it. And so it has a certain sound to it. It's definitely different. I think the songs are rad. It's just, we played the songs for a while afterwards, and they come off a little more aggressive, I guess, when you see them live. I think.
Yeah, that's why if you listen to In the Red, that's like where we really got our sound dialed in, especially the drum sound, guitar sound, like really accurate vocals, not being like. We just kind of dialed in every element, and then we kept expanding on it each album after that, and then just trying each album doing something a little bit different than the previous one to not be so predictable like some bands tend to be. And we just kind of, each album was an attempt to be creative in its own world.
I don't even think you did did you I think it was one guitar, right? On Seasons, or?
I think it altered. Yeah, it was one guitar. I don't even know.
We were going for it. I mean, I think every time we do an album too, though,
we're a band that we always recorded live on Unearthly Trance, like bass, drum, guitar, live on every album.
Okay.
Maybe except for V, right? Because you were recording it. Yeah. But every other album, we record, the main tracks where we would do live. So, that was always our crucial sound to get us like playing, because we play really slow parts, and it's very hard to do. We never did metronome or click or anything. It was always like we played these really slow passages that we could only really nail playing together, like properly.
It's a feel thing. It's not a timing. It's a feel.
We developed a unit, like us together as our sound, and so we could do individual tracking, but we always found like playing together was the best way to get the results we wanted.
And I think intentionally almost, though, we would also too, we'd approach our recordings differently and try to make it. I think they all sound like Unearthly Trance, but we kind of we try to just do something different. We weren't like let's keep doing the same thing.
I mean, Stalking the
getting
Ghost,
the same album over and over. And
we came back after our break and we did Stalking the Ghost. It was kind of a clean slate. We did something a little bit different with Colin, Marston, and he did a great job with that album. And we did the split with Primitive Man. So it's kind of like a few different eras of the band with our sound evolving and changing.
Well, I love Stalking. It's one of my favorites. I also love about it is I kind of went in that in the Primitive split. Colin did such a great job. It was, usually I like to stick my nose in everything and see what's going on. And I want to look at I want to see the gear. And with Stalking, I kind of just went in and played bass. And it has a mystique to it because I don't know how he did it exactly. I couldn't tell you what he used to record it, but that's what I enjoy about it. I can kind of remove myself where like I listen to V and I'm like every little EQ turn and everything, because I was so in it mixing it and I enjoy it. It's just, it was a different, experience. And, I don't feel any pressure like, oh, I recorded this, it sounds a certain way. And, just from a personal, viewpoint, but that was really enjoyable for me to kind of just not know. I can kind of, it was great. Colin's awesome. He's got a great studio, awesome. And he's quite a musician also. But just I do a collaboration with him now, like an ambient kind of synth project called Arelseum. I can't even say my own band's name.
Okay.
And we've done like 3 releases already in like a year. He's like one of the most creative people I've ever worked with. He's just
super creative,
really prolific too. Like I'll send him something and he'll hit me back with something like 2 days later, like finished. And I'm like, oh shit, he's a genius. Yeah. And I knew him when I did 2 records with my band, The Howling Wind, and I recorded a couple of records with him. And that's when I started to get to realize like how awesome he was to work with, because like Jay said, you don't have to worry about what he's doing. He's like, I'm like, hey, I want to try this amp out. And he's like, yeah, cool. And he's like already ready to go. And
super intuitive.
You don't have to worry about it. He's fast and intuitive,
Yeah, creative, just quick, like he's just open-minded. Yeah, it was a great experience.
He's like the smartest musician I've ever, like I see him and I'm like, wow, I don't even know how to play, like he's
Yeah, we were
I play like crappy blues leads compared to what he can do.
Yeah, I felt like a Neanderthal recording there. It was
He's the kind
Yeah,
of
it was
person that
fun.
makes the process like really comfortable and easy and like no big, it's like you're just hanging out with one of your buddies, like he's stress free in that regard. Like, and then you kind of just, any idea you throw at him, he'll kind of work with. Even if he thinks
Yeah,
it's crazy, he'll like, all right, let's see, like, and then we're like, yeah, it's probably not going to work. But he'll entertain a crazy idea, which is what I like. He's like, nothing's off limits.
I think you touched upon this earlier. You did take a hiatus for a couple years, and what it looks like 2013, 14.
Yeah, yeah. 2012 maybe. I don't know. Do you know? Do you
Okay.
remember, Jay?
no, we've taken a
2012.
few breaks, but every time we did, we've always kind of made music together too. We kind of took a break at one point, and then we ended up doing Serpentine Path, and
Yeah, in
we
that
did
break is when we did Serpentine Path, right?
Okay.
we took another break for a time, and we did this band Humanless, which was a different kind of a thing, and
I think what always inevitably happens with us is like tour will burn us out, and we'll just like we should stop and like take a break after tour or something, but we never did, and there'd always be this like accumulation of like year after year of doing things that you just want to like recharge, but we never did. So it always like come to a head and explode and be like, yeah, we're done, and then come back a few years later, and not even because we were still working with each other and playing in music. We just kind of need to shift I think Serpentine Path was like, let's just do something for fun, like, and so we were just interested in just jamming and not having any sort of pressure, because I think at that point Unearthly Trance was touring pretty often and having a lot of shows and things going on, interviews. So it was like very, lots of stuff was going on for us. But after a while, we would just kind of, needed a break. So we did Serpentine Path and did that. And then while doing that, we're like, we kind of miss doing Unearthly Trance. So we kind of just went back to that after Serpentine Path kind of came to an end, an unnatural end, but it just ended after.
yeah, we always circle back to it, and we just playing music together and enjoying the music, and it always came pretty natural. We always were able to be creative together, and yeah, we've been playing music together for a long time.
Any good touring stories or what? I mean,
well, actually, yeah. Now that you say it, well, since I was thinking of it the other day, 10 years ago, we were in Japan when the earthquake happened.
Oh, wow.
And so I think on the 11th, it's going to be
the really big
the anniversary anyway. Every
really big,
yeah.
big earthquake.
Yeah.
Shit.
So every March 11th, I'm reminded of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
We were on tour we did a 3-day tour with the Melvins and High on Fire. And on the 3rd day in Tokyo, the earthquake happened as we were going to the venue. And it was like the best, we were like on such a high, like this is the best shit ever, like we're touring with our favorite bands. What could be cooler? And then, the worst thing ever, I remember sitting in the van going, this seems like it's a pretty big earthquake. And like, I never been to one before. And then when we got there, it was like, holy shit, what's going on? And it was just like chaos ensued.
It was extreme. It was unforgettable.
Like it's almost felt like a dream, like, is this really happening? And then,
so were you stuck there then? Like
well, coincidentally, like we were scheduled to fly out the very next morning or the next afternoon.
Yeah.
And so our goal was just to get the hell out of there because, people were fleeing. And then, as we're leaving, it's like we see Fukushima blowing up and we're like, fuck, we're going to die. And, like we just didn't know what was going to happen next.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we drove to the airport. Took us like 6 hours practically to get, like to 45 minutes away normally.
Yep.
And then we got there, we saw lines of people, and I always remember this. Jay went right up to the front and was like, look, we don't know anything. We need to catch our flight. And like magically this lady just let us cut ahead of all these people to get to our flights. But like we were in the van with the Melvins, like freaking out. We're going to miss our flights. We're going to miss our flights. And like Buzz was cool as like a cucumber, like, you guys be fine. You'll be fine. Losing our minds. Something I'll never forget.
Yeah. I always kept thinking to myself, I always think back, like, I was like, you really, you put your mortality out there. You're like, man, this is serious. And but then I'm thinking to myself, like, I was like, I might die, but not King Buzzo. You know,
he's not gonna die.
I was like, not fucking King Buzzo.
He's
no
gotta
way,
live
dude.
forever.
Yeah, dude. No, he's the best, you know. So it was a crazy experience. The show before that in Nagoya was
one of the best shows ever.
My favorite show of my life. I mean, it's not even close. I mean,
like we went there and we had
it was
fans in
surreal.
Japan. Like we're just like, wow, we have fans in Japan. What the hell? Like just shocked because
Japanese are like really like hardcore fans, right? Hardcore.
They really were. Like our releases on Relapse came out in Japan, but we didn't really realize like that means something. And you know, I remember going down, like there'd be people there asking for autographs.
It was humbling, and it was a wonderful experience. It was really great. It was. Yeah, I'm so fortunate that we got to experience that. We were also in Australia for a week or so prior to that with the Eagle Twin and Monarch. And and to say that, you know, I never would have imagined we would be able to do something like that. And we did. And
yeah, we were a very lucky band. We got to tour all over, man. We did all great stuff. Like, you know, we toured Europe and UK a lot. We got to go to like Scandinavia. We did some cool stuff, like being a pretty underground band. So I think that's the takeaway, is that even though, you know, we weren't a huge band, we managed to do some cool stuff like over all these years. And like when we get together, we just tell old stories or joke about old stuff. It's like it's all fun for us.
And we went for it. You know, I always say, like, I'm sitting in my rocking chair as an old man, and I could be like, you know, fucking A, man, we you know, and it's not lost on us how fortunate we are that we had that opportunity, because a lot of people don't get to do that, and we were very lucky, but we worked hard, and we put a lot of time and effort into the band, and we all did, and you know, and
like when you look at it now, there's no shows going on, no touring, nothing going on, like you can't help but reflect on, you know, feeling fortunate, like if it's not going to be the way it used to be, that we're pretty lucky we got to go do all these cool things and see all these places most people don't get to see, really, you know, like
I also think of it like a little bit different of a generational, like, you know, like I'm, you know, with social media and stuff too, like, you know, before social media was so, you know, whatever, you know, we're on MySpace, I guess, was the thing or whatever, but like, you know, like we weren't posting our adventures online, you know, like I think that's how bands kind of you know, they look what we're doing, look where we're going, you know, it's more like a social thing, you know, we just, you know, we got some cool pictures from our cameras, and, you know, but it was all.
We kept the tour journal.
Yeah, we did.
Personal tour journal to remember things.
But yeah, it was fun. It was, we
always looked at it, the more we could do, the better. And like, we didn't really turn down much that came our way if we thought it was a good idea. If we thought it was a bad idea, we wouldn't do it. But, you know, we try to make sure, you know, things happen. And, you know, we did a lot of releases and over the years. And to me, it feels good, because if someone gets into the band now, they could still go back and check out all this stuff that, you know, we've been doing for a while and built upon.
One of the other cool things that you guys do is a lot of cover tune tribute CDs. It's fun. I can't even see it in my notes, but I know there was an I Hate God one. I want to say Black Flag, Born Against, and
Rocky Erickson,
Charles Manson, Bathory. We have about 10 or 12. We probably did over 10 covers, I think.
But then we officially quit at some point.
Yeah, we did a bunch though.
So you've decided no more covers?
Yeah, our drummer said no more. I remember one time he's like, nah, no more. And we kind of like, yeah, I think you're right.
We did a Sid Barrett cover.
There's a story behind that. I still get record statements till this day. It says, you've knocked 41 cents off your... I can't even really tell the story, actually.
Yeah.
Basically, we got a record budget, a very generous record budget, and we used it to fund a tour. But
okay,
it is what it is.
To record one song, we were like, yeah, man. I mean, I love Floyd. I mean, I love, you know, it wasn't a stretch. It was just, It's just random thing that came up, and
I think it was like, you know, the standard tribute record company that puts out tributes to all these all these bands, and we were like just one of those bands. And
So you just got a phone call and it said, "Hey, be a part of this thing."
I don't remember how it may have come through someone through Relapse, but I don't really remember.
It was definitely an email.
Yeah, it was definitely an email. We've done so many things over the years. I can't remember. Some of those details are fuzzy.
What Sid Barrett's song was it?
Long Gone?
Okay.
Actually, it's a cool song.
I don't think I've heard your version of it. I'll have to seek it out now. I'm going to have to seek it out.
It's probably on YouTube.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I think we were long gone when we recorded it, probably.
Yeah. That's the story to it. I can't believe we brought that up. I mean, I love covers, but
I mean,
I don't even know if people enjoy them. I think it's more for the artist. Like, hey, that was fun. I don't know if people like actually enjoy listening to covers.
I enjoy listening to covers.
I do too. It's a good one. But sometimes it's like, oh, why did you do that?
It has to be done right. Like some bands you just can't cover, and it's fun to do, I think, ultimately. But I think when a band kind of takes the song and, you know, paints it with their own brush and makes it kind of sound like their own, I think that's more interesting than someone being like, this is the reproduction of what we did, you know, like you can kind of change the tempo up and do, you know,
yeah.
But covers are fun. I mean, I don't dislike them, but
we did a winter cover. We did
yeah, we did
a winter cover once and played Long Island, and the dude from Winter was at the show, like the singer of Winter, and he approved. That was a good one.
That's cool.
Yeah, John.
That is super cool.
That was cool.
Good to get the approval of the guy right there. He's right at the show, and he gives you.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm watching his lyrics definitely.
Yeah, we had a beer with him and everything. It was the full experience, and you know, it was cool. You know, John's a nice guy.
Is Feast of Tentacles still a thing? Because I went to their website and it looked weird. So.
We're like the last release that he happened to put out, I think. That's how it goes. And I put out release back in the day with this band Pollution I was in. And that was like an older release I did with him, but I think he finished a record label and was like done.
Yeah, because it says like
50% off or something.
Dead. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, really? Oh, damn.
Yeah, so I guess he's not doing it anymore.
Yeah, it was a limited release anyway.
What else you got, Eric?
That's about all I have. Note-wise. That's all I got note-wise. What do you think? Anything else you want to promote, or what is in the future for Unearthly Trance moving forward?
It's a good question. Our drummer actually moved recently, so I'm not sure what we're going to be doing anytime in the near future. It's been a question mark for a while, and Jay and I have been kind of doing different things since over the pandemic, but you know, we recently got together to put these 2 songs on Bandcamp for Friday. Mm-hmm. And basically we're just going to put that out officially through our channels and, you know, see what happens. I mean, I'm doing a bunch of projects as well as him, if you want to know what I'm up to recently. I just put out this band Force and Fire, an EP with my old friends, working on the Howling Wind record. I do this band called Green Dragon, which is like a stoner rock band from my buddy in New Jersey, and, you know, local friends. I just try to keep busy. But as far as Unearthly Trance, we're just kind of like leaving it open. We'll get to it sooner or later, or maybe not. But we made the mistake of ever saying we ended the band in 2012 or 13. So we said we're not going to do that again. So it's kind of leave it open-ended. And, you know, me and Jay and Darren even did another project called the Staffsmen, which is kind of Jay's thing. And that was all of us doing some like acoustic kind of like psychedelic stuff that Jay could talk more about.
That's actually something I wanted to plug too, but like, so the Staffsmen Bandcamp, but originally we recorded this project, this release called the Equinox. It's on the Staffsmen page, but it's the 3 of us. collaborating. And this guy, Peter Play, he wrote the lyrics for it. He's a good friend of ours, but basically Pete has his cabin upstate, and we basically brought a recording studio, I guess, if you will, out to his cabin, and we recorded a full album outside. All the sound and everything that you hear and everything, it's all from his property. The fire, you got, I guess somebody could check it out if they wanted to hear what it sounded like.
It's a very like kind of cool, like psychedelic, like, ritualistic, occult kind of feel, like very natural, like woodsy, trippy stuff. And Jay kind of went on his own direction with that project, and it's kind of like, a tentacle of Unearthly Trance. And like we do all these different projects to kind of have different flavors of what Unearthly Trance kind of has always done. And sometimes we circle back, sometimes we branch off, but it always comes from this original source, really.
Yeah, we almost considered the Equinox to be an Unearthly Trance album. It was very close to it. It has, it's all of us playing together. It's not metal, but it's interesting. I mean, if you like Unearthly Trance, I mean, it definitely has our sound.
Yeah, there's a couple of songs that Unearthly Trance has done that kind of hints at that.
Yeah, one of the tunings, and it was a really cool project, and that kind of inspired me to kind of continue on and do what is now the Staffsmen, which is kind of just a project that I've been working on, which is in a similar vein. I just kind of expanded on the idea of what we did with the Equinox, and I recorded an album. And every Darren actually sings the drum. Darren sings on the whole thing, and Ryan added some cool elements to it, guitar work and stuff, and
we've always collaborated, and so it's like just a continuation. Like he sends me something like, "Oh, you want to put something on this?" Like, yeah, cool. We've always had this open-ended kind of musical relationship, and so even back in the day, Jay would do guests on some of my side projects. Like I remember, you did noise stuff on Thraldom releases back in the day, and we've always kind of had Unearthly Trance and other projects, and it's all kind of coming from the same source. But Unearthly Trance is me, Jay, and Darren. And when me, Jay, and Darren are playing heavy, loud stuff, it's Unearthly Trance.
You just reminded me that on Metal Archives, Ryan, you're listed as doing noise, and Jay's listed as doing noise, but Darren is not listed as doing noise.
Occasionally he might, if we throw like a little synthesizer in front of him. He's capable of doing it. But honestly, Darren's an incredible vocalist. Like he can do harsh vocals. He can do like really good.
He's a great musician.
He comes from like a really musical family. Like him and all his brothers played guitars. Like I grew up with Darren and his brother Todd, and we played, like my first band was with those two guys. And he has two older brothers that play guitar. So the Verney family was like a big influence on me, because when I first met them, I was terrible. I couldn't play. And Darren's older brother was like really, really good. And, we jam and he'd be like, "Nah, you're playing it wrong." So I like learned like, you actually have to get better if you're going to play with people.
Yeah, Darren's got a great ear for music. He's got a great harmony. And he actually sings on the unreleased track that we're putting out on Friday from the Infiltration session. Darren does the vocals on that, and like I said, he does the vocals on the Staffsmen too, and it's his vocals are pretty melodic. It's definitely something different. Or if anyone's ever heard the Manson's song we did,
not on the new one though.
Huh?
Not on the new one though. The new song, the Slaves of Time song.
Yeah.
That's not melodic.
No, no, that's definitely not melodic.
Yeah, Darren could do like brutal death metal, like guttural, like he's just super talented.
Yeah, he sings on V. He sings. He's not singing. He's screaming on V, and
it was mainly me trying to get him to sing songs, so when we play live, I could have a breather from doing vocals. I'm like, "Darren, you want to sing tonight?" He'd be like, "Nah." I'm like, "Come on!" Like, I encourage. There
was a few shows where we did a Darren kind of set with
a mini
him
set,
kind of doing the vocal, and in Norway we did a show and he did a couple songs, and
well, that was when I broke my back in Norway. Remember the next show in Sweden? I couldn't sing because I was like totally.
Broke your back?
Well, we played a show in Norway, and then after the show, I was walking down these stairs and I just slipped and crashed and ripped like the muscle in my back. I was broken and went to the hospital in Norway the next day and was like in and out in an hour with like meds and everything all like hooked up for like $25. I was like, this is awesome. Like, not like an American experience, but anyway, the next show we had to play was the next day and I could barely play. So we kind of made a set where, was it Germany? I don't remember. My brain is too fried to remember.
I think it was either Norway or it was in Scandinavia.
And then Germany was, it was 2 shows where I could barely sing. Like, and so Darren like did most of, we made the set around songs that Darren would sing.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Yep. Got to play a show, even if you can't even stand up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyway, I kind of think we're at time here. I don't want to, we're about an hour, so I think
cool, man.
Just really super appreciate you guys coming on. You know, I'm kind of bummed that you don't have new stuff planned, but you have such a backlog of shit that I don't think I'm gonna be wanting for Unearthly Trance stuff. For like, there's just so much shit to get through. So I
agree.
Yeah, you can get a lot of stuff, but yeah, appreciate you coming on. Maybe at some point we'll do Unearthly Serpentine Path, maybe a little segment or something. But that's it. I mean, we'll get all the links in the description, and you know, as you guys do stuff, just hit us up. We'll promote whatever we can from you guys.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Bye, everybody.